So let's get ready for the first session of today, STEM Students Chat with Entrepreneurs.
We are honored to have some local entrepreneurs to share with us about their insights, about the trends, challenges, and opportunities for startups.
The convener of this session is Mr. Emil Chan, Honorary Chairman of StartHK.
We would like to invite the following panel members to join the discussion. Dr. Cathy Loy, co-founder and CEO of Oper Technology Limited.
Dr. Abraham Lam, co-founder and director of Mega Automation Limited.
We will also have two STEM students from the Vocational Training Council to join the discussion. Natalie from Technological and Higher Education Institute of Hong Kong.
And Ryan from Hong Kong Institute of Vocational Education.
Please join us in a big round of applause to invite Mr. Chen and the panelists.
Thank you for the introduction. Okay, here we are. So what's the topic today? Innovation of STEM, right? So we have two industrial experts and two future industrial experts to join us. So I like this arrangement, because without the students' participation, that the panel discussion is just like an industrial, ordinary one. But with the students participating, then I think, our short discussion will be benefit, not only to the students, but also to the industry, because we also want to learn from them, about their expectation, because the world belongs to them, okay? You two first, okay? So I will pass it to you. So without further ado, let me introduce, the script asked me to introduce them first, but I would like to take a little detour. Rather than using the usual way to introduce the panelists, why can't we use a new way? Because of STEM, everybody has a mobile phone. And I founded my association called acmcp.org many years ago to promote mobile and cloud computing. So if you guys have the phone, if you do not know who am I, why don't you just Google myself? Emil or Emil, a funny name that different countries have different pronunciation. Can you Google me? That's the way, the modern way, to introduce myself. Because when you Google, not only you remember me easier, but also when you Google me, you help me to promote myself. Because every Google click will change the SEO priority, and I will be more famous, okay? So not only I want myself to be more famous, I want Cathy, already famous enough, and Abraham to be more famous. So after you Google me, while Cathy introduces herself, please Google Cathy. So here's Dr. Cathy Liu's profile on stage, on the background. So let me ask Cathy, can you introduce briefly about yourself, with the PowerPoint, okay?
Yeah, sure. Hello, testing.
Yeah, wait, yeah.
Testing. Oh, everyone can hear me, right? Okay. So thank you, Emil, and thank VTC for inviting me to be here to join this meaningful event today. So it is great to be here to share my entrepreneurial journey with all of you. So before you can Google me, I can also introduce myself, a little bit background of mine. So I was graduated in Hong Kong Baptist University with a PhD degree in neuroscience. I have been working on the development of the treatment for neurodegenerative diseases such as the Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and also stroke. So I think most of you already know that neurodegenerative disease is an incurable disease. And more than 100 million people over the world actually suffering from these diseases. But unfortunately, there is no cure for them. And what they can only do is to wait for a miracle. And there's an urgent, huge unmet need in this market. And in 2013-2013, our team in university successfully invented a new innovative technology called autologous neural stem cell harvest. And we aim to offer a personalized therapeutic solution to the patients by collecting their neural stem cell, their brain stem cell from the patients by our nanotechnology to repair the neurodegenerations or other brain damage. Stem cells actually are very powerful, have a powerful ability for the regenerations. But the source is very important because there are some side effects if you cannot find the right source of the stem cells. So our technology can help the patient to use their own stem cell as a cell replacement to cure the diseases. So, and because all the cells are originated from the patients, they are 100% compatible to the patients. There's no any side effect like the immune rejection, and also we do not do any genetic engineering. So we have a very good technology, but that isn't enough. We have to commercialize it. And the beauty of the biotech company, actually they need some magics. So do you want to know what is the magics?
Yeah, please tell us. What's the magic?
Yeah, the magic is clinical trial.
What?
Clinical trials.
Oh, clinical trial.
Yeah,
So,
very
but
painful.
yeah.
Because without the clinical trials, actually the technology means nothing. We cannot use it in the patients.
Okay.
And it's sad, very sad that the funding from the university may not be enough to support the clinical trial.
Okay.
We need the investment outside. That's why we set up the company Oper Technology. And we are very blessed that we received the seed money from ITC to start our company. And within these 5 years, we are highly endorsed by the industry and also the academia. We won more than 36 national and international awards,
Wow.
including the first runners-up of the 5th China Innovation and Entrepreneurship competitions, and also the top tier of the New 2020 campaign organized by GSK.
Okay.
Also, as a female entrepreneur, I also work on different projects, and last year we set up another arms on early cancer detections, particularly for the breast cancer. We would like to encourage women to take a regular checkup with a very simple blood test, so they do not have to fear using the manual way to do the examinations.
Okay, beautiful. So the magic is to be practical.
Yes.
So and then, but in my mind, the magic is to win the investors' trust, right? Yeah. So that's not easy. Okay, thank you. So I have a lot of questions to ask later on. So before I ask the question, may I introduce Abraham? So my good friend for long. But have you ever Google him, Abraham, another magic? So tell us more about your magics.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself here. So my name is Abraham. Well, actually, my background is, I graduated from the Department of Computing from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So soon after the graduation, I have been, working at the Building Services Engineering at PolyU. Actually, it is a very famous, department in PolyU as well. So when I'm working under this department, I found that actually there's lots of, technologies from our computer science can be applied into the building services field. So for example, in 2012, the government actually has enforced the law that every buildings in Hong Kong, especially for those commercial buildings, they have to perform an energy audit. So at that time, I know that those consultants in the field, they have lots of models, they have lots of reports, they have lots of knowledge how to calculate the performance of the building, but they are lack of the data. They don't know actually how to acquire the data. For example, the power consumption. How can you tell the consumption of the HVAC system of your building? So at that time, I just graduated 2 years, from my undergrad. And then I have, the ideas, there's lots of opportunities in this field. And at that time, I would say at that time, the atmosphere to have a startup is not quite, common in Hong Kong at that time, around 2012. And then at that time, PolyU has been always the pioneer to set up those of, funding support to their graduates. So at that time, I applied the micro fund of PolyU, and luckily, I'm admitted into the program, and I supported by, $100,000 to support, my first startup. And then at that time, I also applied for the incubation program of Cyberport. So that is why I actually started my company, and actually I developed, my first energy management system in Hong Kong. And at that time, I also pursued my dream. I actually really want to, do some great things. So great things are always, left in the laboratory, all in research papers. And to be honest, most of the time, there's lots of good things in the paper, but how can you transform them into real-world applications? I think that is quite interesting. So I challenged myself. I go back to my Department of Computing to have my PhD study. And at the same time, I'm doing my PhD study topic, related to the building services engineering, which my professor is also quite happy with that, although they are all from the computer science background. And later, because we found that we want to, actually control everything of the building, nowadays what we call the building management system. So we also work on the control system of the HVAC, lightings. That is why sometimes you feel cold, you feel hot, you can just call the facility management. They can do it remotely because there's a system behind the building. So we are actually working a lot of projects in Hong Kong as well. So thanks to the advancement of the technologies, so in 2016, I think at that time, most of you have heard a place in Shenzhen, but not most of you know where exactly there. That is Tianhai. Well, I think we are the first tier team that my partners are all from Hong Kong. We are Hong Kongers, we grew up here. And then we have no ideas what is going on in China to do business or what we can do in there. But at that time, because we see the need of applying IoT, Internet of Things technologies into buildings. So that is why we can see that the upstream resources are so close. It is Shenzhen. So actually I live in Yuen Long. Most of you know that, okay, if you go from Yuen Long to Shenzhen, it is about talking 1 hour, living cycle. That is, what the government actually said. And it actually, shortened the time from me to Yuen Long to Cyberport as well. I took around 3 hours to Cyberport in Yuen Long when I'm, I'm doing the incubation program. Well, at that time, and then so we start our R&D, team in the Tianhai. So supported by lots of, favorite policies, and actually, it is my opportunity to, make use of the all those, the VC, the venture capitals in the market. There's lots of guidance, there's lots of, startup atmosphere recently. So I think this is how actually my company, Mega Automation, started in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. You see, he really wants to share with us about his object. I asked you to introduce yourself, and you told me, all the story. I didn't know that. You started your startup, and then go back to academic, to enrich the products, the services. Okay, so I will go back to you. Okay, so now I skip my introduction because of time. You can continue to Google me, and then you will take it in with more detail. So let me, ladies first. So ask Natalie. Natalie, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, hello. So thank you very much your introduction. So before I can make some kind of magic on Google, so let me introduce myself to more successful person here. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Natalie. I'm an EU student of the Bachelor of Science in Healthcare and the Faculty of Science and Technology at the I. So I like studying technology. via technology, it can help me to learn more, especially through e-learning platform, e-books, and even academics information on YouTube. So most of people are aware of how important technology is for all of us living in today's society and the world. So apart from my interest in technology, being a volunteer has also provided me an invaluable experience. And volunteer is an activity that helps people in need. In my mind, most of the elderly living in Hong Kong, they're so strong and highly resilient. No matter what kind of difficulties they may face, they would like to try their best and overcome adversity. Therefore, being a volunteer, and in particular, serving the elderly, has given me opportunities to develop and use my skills to helping more people in need. And also, based on my study at the ISSF, I've gained a keen interest about use of technology to helping elderly, which I hope to be part of my future career. And also, due to the limited resources of welfare allocation in Hong Kong, it is even more critical to utilize technology and also innovative ideas to save time and resources in this vital area of community care. Finally, I hope that I can contribute and support the elderly, enable them to have a more joyful and meaningful and fulfilling period of life.
Wow,
Thank you.
beautiful. Hey, Cathy. No. You don't have to speak. But do you need the CV? You need a marketing, please, so please do it. You perform very well and unexpected, right? So the good opportunity found on this stage. So your turn, Ryan. Okay. So will you start a aircraft company? Okay. So tell me more about your story, Ryan.
Okay, so I'm Ryan Tai, and I'm currently 19 years old. I'm studying the Higher Diploma of Aviation with Ivy, and I'm currently working towards becoming a pilot in the future, as this has been a long childhood dream of mine. So after the completion of my program in May, I plan to head over to the RMIT University down in Melbourne to complete my aviation degree. And as I understand, STEM does play a vital role in the success, future, and the development of the aviation industry, thanks to the multi-development integration. And STEM education also allows us students with a very hands-on application. A good example of that would be in my program here at Ivy, I'm able to use flight simulators within the classroom so that I can apply what I've learned from textbooks, like practically.
Yeah.
And I know that today's presentation will be very inspiring for all of us. I'm here to understand more, say, how to start up companies, incorporate STEM into their day-to-day operations, and how can us students move up the career ladder in the future.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So we had a small chat before, we came on stage. So I asked him, the academic situation changed the way how we run a conference, and we do everything online, nearly. And you want to be a pilot, right?
Yes.
But I'm afraid you will lose your job, okay? Because in the future, the aircraft will be autopilot. So you got to learn, from the other expert, how to do the flight simulation, so the pilot is, work at home and the aircraft still flying. Okay, so without further ado, okay, the introduction, a bit long, but it's not only introduction, and it draw the underlying messages, that about the future world, about the way to make successful. So Cathy, so amazing, you win 36 awards worldwide, and then you be selected be the GBA Outstanding Young Women Entrepreneurs in just 2019. So what inspire you, to launch your own startup, and you just mentioned a little bit, but tell me more about, not only the magic, but also the inspiration, and then what do you think about the market, say rather than, confined in Hong Kong or, the GBA. So what do you see about the whole market, especially under this epidemic situation? Yeah.
Actually, I was a scientist, and I am still a scientist.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So,
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see that for the new degenerative diseases, as I just mentioned, they are still incurable, and there is also a very huge unmet medical need. So, after we invented our technology, we have made a press conference and we have a new technology, we can help the patients. But unfortunately, we still need a lot of things to do, to do the clinical trials. So we have to start our company to help the patients. And also we also receive a lot of inquiry from the patient and their family. This actually gives me a very strong confidence and motivates me to turn myself from a scientist to an entrepreneur. So what we want to do is to help the patient. We don't want to leave the technology in the university for the publications. We want to help the people for those who are in need. That's why we are here and we have Oper now.
Okay, so because you are not happy with the existing technology, so you start up your own, okay, with your knowledge to make the world better.
So I want to help the patients.
Yeah, so this is the mindset of true scientists, right? So,
yes.
so ABM, huh? Right? You have the same mindset. You do have the same mindset. Do you have any question? You know, this opportunity you can ask. You know.
Actually, I appreciate that you wanted to improve their quality of life or make their life longer and longer. So, I think you're such a role model for young ladies like me who want to start their STEM career soon. So I want to ask more about your career, your journey. So how can you combine, or how can you maybe you can introduce or you can suggest a unique attribute or characteristic that to help to grow your business? Or some may say, people would say STEM industry is still male dominated. So what do you think as a woman can do for sustainable development in the STEM industry?
A lot of questions. But I will give you a very simple one. But it's a really good question, and this topic actually is very popular. Discussing women in business or women in academia is always male-dominated. But I'm very happy to see now more and more women now choose to start their company as a CEO or a co-founders. So I have a very simple tips for the girls, and it is also applied to me. It's very easy. Yeah, just don't let the gender to restrict your ability. Even you have to do a lot harder, work harder, but you still have to shine the role. Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's inspiring.
Yeah, I think that I'm also agree that women, young ladies should try to contribute more to the development of STEM. So thank you for sharing. Brings a lot of inspiration.
So boys, give them more chances. Okay. So before we give them more chances, you got to share your story. So you got a PhD. Okay, and then usually, it's for getting a good job in Hong Kong. So you're on that level, and easily you can earn a lot of money, But what makes you so determined, go back, to continue to, do your own startup?
Well, it is a good question. I think just one word, because dream. I think everyone has your dream. So how you can pursue your dream, or whether you are able to achieve what you want to do, is quite important. I think at the time after my graduation, I think I also sometimes I may struggle. What actually I could do after graduate from the university. Actually it's just like a blank sheet. You have nothing, and then you don't have any working experience. But at that time, I think I have the opportunity to work, under another department, just like I mentioned.
Yep.
And I could see the opportunity, and I could see the chance that I can pursue my dream. Actually, when I was small, I'm always admired people. They are a very successful entrepreneur, or they are very good at business, something like that. But I've never thought that one day I may become, at least, an entrepreneur, not to mention whether it is successful or not. And at that time, because some opportunities, like I mentioned, we have funding and then we have some support from the university. So that's why, I pursue my dream. And then at that time, actually, I love research, but what I actually want to do is to apply research into the real world. So that is why, I pursue my dream in the real world, in real business world. But to be honest, I never worked in any companies, so I know nothing about the commercial environment. But then you need to become the boss.
I see. So you share the same attribute, the entrepreneurship. So this opportunity, I let you ask, so your dream, his dream.
Well, I just really wanted to ask, because you've mentioned previously that you had your research and development center in Shenzhen, and you operate your business in Hong Kong, right? So, you're in 2 regions. Are there any special considerations you needed to take into account, and what was your plan and strategies for them?
Good question.
Yeah, I think financially, to be honest, I think if you hire one, even, a undergraduate in Hong Kong, it is quite costly. And it is I think 2/3 of the course to hire, another more experienced programmer or, engineer in Shenzhen. So that is why we've actually moved all the, development work in Shenzhen, Shanghai. But at that time, we also not sure whether it works or not. So we start by one or 2 staff there, and then later, I work at the company. Every day I may go to Shanghai. But actually, and then later we found that there's lots of upstream resources. And actually, what we actually are planning is that not just Hong Kong is the market, and then actually the mainland China is actually a huge market at all. But just like I mentioned, because we are all, our founders are all from Hong Kong, so that is why, set up a company in Shenzhen, Shanghai is actually a good milestone for us, to advance into the Chinese market.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, because you set up your base outside of Hong Kong, you mentioned all the staff are moving over, so you can definitely see a staff expertise transfer, and I think that's very advantageous for, say, innovation, for example.
Yeah. So the STEM, you make good use of the STEM initiative. So I have a question. So you study computer science, and then after that. You study engineering on the building management, okay? So that it considered multidisciplinary, okay? So how can you make good use of them? What benefit from you? Rather than you focus only on biotech, okay? And you wear different hats. Tell me more about this advantage.
Okay. Maybe I just cite one example. What I just mentioned. How can we bring some research work into real-world applications? For example, I can see that I can solve some real-world problems. For example, in Hong Kong, most of the people always complain. The air conditioning is oversupplied. Sometimes girls may feel very, very cold, and sometimes some gentlemen wearing their suits, but they are still feeling very hot. And sometimes in public transport or common areas, the air conditioning seems like you don't need to pay for the electricity bill, so you set as low as possible. So I'm actually in building services. This is about the topic of thermal comfort. But at that time, people have a lot of models. But for example, how can I know whether you feel hot, you feel cold? They have no ideas. So everyone has their mobile phone. What we actually do is that you can use your mobile phone to control the AC conditioning. But every time when you press it, I feel cold. I feel hot. I'm actually building up your AI model, your comfort model. So whenever you go, wherever you go, and then we can help you to optimize the AC support of this area. For example, there's 100 people in this area. I will just optimize most of the people's comfort. So it is one of actually my thesis during my PhD, and actually we still apply this kind of elements into the real world projects. So that is why you see the problems in the real world, and you are able to transform some models into real world applications. Of course, you need to do a lot of technology transfer during the process.
Okay, good. Ryan, I'll give you one more chance. Say you got a dream, okay, to be a pilot. So can you apply the same? The expert is here.
Well, I want to be a pilot, and a lot of multidisciplinary knowledge is required within it. So I think that it's important. I really need to take you as a motivation for me
Yeah.
personally to like
Yeah.
acquire different sets of skills so that I can further develop myself to better achieve my dream in the future.
Okay.
I think I can supplement a
Please.
little bit. Actually, I really agree with Abraham. We have to adjust the lead of the market first. And we have to find the pain points of the industry first. Then you can use your STEM knowledge to find the solutions rather than to translate the research directly. You have to find what the problem first.
Define the problem first. So maybe Natalie, do you have any, because you too, actually,
Perfect match.
perfect match. So it's opportunity for you,
Because I'm studying in healthcare, so I know your business is about healthcare. So I want to know more about how can you combine your knowledge in biotechnology with the healthcare solution to help to improve people's life, and how can you use STEM, this kind of multi-knowledge, to fulfill your mission and vision of your company?
Actually, when I studied my PhD, and I have the chance to interact with different patients and also doctors. That's why we found that, actually that is a very important difficulties for them. They do not have the real cure for the patients. What they can only do is to relieve the symptoms for the patients. That's why I have a question, how can I help the patients? That's why I also, like Abraham, for the PhD topic, I choose the more practical one rather than the basic research one. I want to develop innovative technology, a treatment for them. So, like what I said, I have to find adjust the need of the patient first, what they want to do. They do not want to just for the symptoms relief. They want to be recovered. So STEM actually has a very good tools for them to have the regeneration, to improve their quality of life. That's why you can find the use of knowledge to see what I can do to help them. And then I know that nanotechnology is another good tools because they are very small. We can use like a very mini robot to do the nanosurgery, to extract the nerve stem cell, to do the replacement. So you have to brainstorm, what I can help them. Don't just restrict to one point. Try to use multidisciplinary knowledge to help them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hey, but it's a bit too remote to me. I'm not a biotech guy. But can Abraham, you can share one example?
Yeah, I can share from another aspect. Sometimes when people talk about STEM education, actually we are also, recently we are helping some schools, locally in Hong Kong. We are actually, helping them to apply STEM solutions in their school. For example, in the past when you talk about STEM education, because I myself, I'm also, inside some IMC of those schools. I always see that there's lots of tenders about acquiring some, smart, equipment like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, these kind of things. And then people can, use it to programming. I said it is quite, boring because students cannot actually learn what actually is happening in the real world. So I suggest that actually, why don't we help you to apply the IoT technology into your schools? And then you guys can, program your own to make a smarter, school or campus to save energy and then to do some, energy saving competition between the classes. So myself is actually, just I echo with Cathy as well, just like solutions always comes, next to the problem. Nowadays people always talk about, startup, but actually they don't have a real world problem. But they just find out solutions. So what's next? That is no market. There's no value at all. So I think it is one of the pain points, most of the startups, they are suffering. Okay, yes, sometimes, you do a good pitching, you do good presentation, and then you acquire the funding. But actually, I think acquiring funding is not the successful case. What a successful case is that your business is sustainable, and then you can make profit from that. But of course, at the same time, if you have the dream, like me, I want to save the environment by saving energy, and then I can help the sustainable city and to become a more smarter city. So that is a higher vision goal behind my mind. So I think that is what I can share.
Okay, be realistic, right? So Ryan, one more chance. I let you, take advantage over the entrepreneur. please.
So, you've both mentioned that your mission and vision that you're trying to improve life for everyone, such as the quality of life and, inspiring others. But, considering you guys are relatively successful, I just wanted to ask from like a student standpoint, if, what is the biggest failure that you've had in the past and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, beautiful. I like this question. So
Yeah.
you talk about how successful you are. Have you ever faced any difficulties and how can you handle it? Ladies first.
Too many failures. yeah, but I think it's very normal to have failures because you have to pass the failure on the way to success. So I think it's nothing failures. Just go and embrace
It's
them.
nothing. Yeah, it's
and
normal.
And you can learn from them and you can grow and know how to improve.
Beautiful. So ABM, how do you handle
To be
failure?
honest, I'm wondering, do I have any failures actually? Because I think I can't really mention one, but actually I think because I don't recognize those things I encounter as failures maybe. But every day, if you are a real entrepreneur, actually every day you are facing a lot of challenges and then you have the problems and then you have the solutions need to come out promptly. So what I can say is that sometimes, like I mentioned, failures may be a definition that you are not good at something or you fail at something. But from another perspective, I'm more optimistic that actually when the problems come, that means there's a need in the market, or actually this is a chance for me, to advance into another level. Then that is good. Actually, sometimes for startups, they have the flexibility to solve problem promptly, compared with those SMEs or some MNC. Yeah.
Beautiful. Fail fast, fail forward, right? So, Natalie, do you have any more
Yes,
questions?
sure. As you guys mentioned before, you guys' company business is mainly related to technology. However, as everyone know, technology changes forever. So like updating every single day. So what you guys see as the most challenging part of your business in the future?
Yeah, no failure, but challenging, right? So, in the future, can you see any challenging?
Yeah, I think for an entrepreneur, we always take challenge and we are always prepared to take the challenge. So I think we are all good.
Yeah, for me, I would say that because I'm from computer science background, actually, I think every one of you, always heard a lot of buzzwords like I've applied artificial intelligence, AI technologies, a lot of blah, blah, blah technology, big data, and then all kinds of things. But I think what actually need to be, raise your hand to let people identify who are you is not you're mentioning you're applying this kind of technology. Rather than that, actually you are applying this kind into the problem and you already tell them this is your solutions. So I think we don't focus on the buzzwords, but we focus on the solutions will be better. And for me, actually, I think sometimes it will be for students as well, actually you need to pursue your dream, then you need to set up your plan in a short-term plan or a long-term plan. For me, actually, I at the time when I plan to have my PhD, actually I start my business as well at the time because I don't want to spend another rounds of several years after my PhD graduation. At that time, I think I'm around 30 years old. I don't want to waste my a period to start another thing new. So I do it concurrently. So I think everyone has your own plan. Everyone have identify your own strength and then your capacity. Of course, at the same time, everyone you have your weakness. But how you can actually overcome these kind of hurdles or challenges, I think it is what actually STEM can learn, of course, and then school can teach. But of course, yourself, I think yourself could improve everything by learning experience.
Yeah, and I think the role is keep changing. So yes, you have to be prepared to be innovative. Yeah.
Be flexible.
Be flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good. So this session, we can conclude that multidisciplinary is the critical part to be success, or to face the challenge, right? So the last part, let's conclude about this by not by me. I suggest, that maybe, by the other half. My role is the middleman between you. Okay.
Yeah, I think the forum brings a lot of inspiration from Abraham and Cathy. So the main reason for me to study STEM subject is because to improve the world with technology. So which is pretty much similar with Abraham and Cathy's story. So by knowing more about Cathy's story, I'm further sure that women have a unique role and have a stimulation and power in the STEM industry also. So I will studying hard and working hard to achieve my goal and to help more people to improve their life with STEM.
Well, beautiful. So do you have anything to add? What you learned?
So what I've learned from this is that multidisciplinary knowledge from STEM is definitely very beneficial to all of us, and it's important to create a better world. So I'd actually like to thank Abraham for giving me the inspiration. I really aspire his eagerness to broaden his horizons, to keep learning. And after he obtained his PhD in the IoT fields, he went straight to developing and building engineering services, right? So I'd like to thank you for inspiring me, because I will personally look back and think of ways that I can broaden my own horizons, to keep learning, to be motivated, as I want to understand more about how the disciplinary knowledge is able to sorry.
Go on.
Is able, I'll be able to understand more things, such as the aviation industry, because it's essential to ensure a smooth operation. And I will always try to work hard, and then from there, improve myself so I can have a more successful career in the future.
Okay, good. I wish, okay, you will really, navigate the aircraft at home.
I think another day maybe he will be here to share his successful case later, right?
Yeah, in a few years, please, Chairman Tai, make sure that we bring them back. Okay, so now I received the first floor question. There are quite a few, but we have a limited time. So the most important time about entrepreneurship to me is this one. What do you think the most important asset for starting a business? Money or technology? Which side you pick? Money, technology? Maybe Cathy?
Well, this is a very hard question because both of them are very important. but I think the most important is the mindset. The entrepreneur has to know what they are going to do and what they want to achieve. If they do not have a good mindset, actually money and technology is nothing to.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to know what you want to do, and strive for it.
Okay, so the money and technology are important, but they are not the most important. The most important one is your mindset, okay? So good, very good. So I think we have the time for the second question. The second question is, okay, talk about the mindset, okay? So what kind of attitude makes a successful startup entrepreneur? So what kind of mindset? Okay, maybe ABM, you can.
Well,
determination.
I think it is about the personal characteristics. I myself, I'm always, optimistic of everything. And actually, I think everyone, if you would like to be a entrepreneur, at least you need to be passionate with what you're actually doing. And then you love to explore new things. And you are, able to overcome challenges and of course like failures as well, just what we have mentioned. So I think every day you need to ask yourself what you need to do every day and what you want to achieve. And then you set the KPI for yourself because you don't have boss, you are the boss. And then I think the market will tell you the result at the end of the year.
Okay, so I can conclude that. So if you have the right mindset, like ABM and Cathy, so they work hard to make sure that to make good use of a technology, money will automatically comes, and then the business will fly, right? So I have one more question. I let the international student, okay, to come in. Okay, let me see. What are your suggestions to young people if they would like to equip themselves to seize the opportunities emerging in this new digital era? So we say the world is changing, okay? So tell them, how to equip themselves. They are not going to follow your own steps. You can success doesn't mean that they can. But can you make a higher level suggestion to them, what they have to get prepared for? Maybe APM?
Okay, maybe I come first. Okay, I would say one thing. Even technologies will change, over time from time to time, but knowledge never changes. And knowledge is always important to every student. That is why you still need to have your school life, right? To equip the basic knowledge, at least you need to communicate, at least, for example, when I'm doing energy consumption, I need to apply lots of model. I know mathematics, right? But what actually you need to do is that you need to, just like I mentioned, you need to explore the opportunities around you. For example, I cannot, foresee that, whether I should go to the China market or later, for example. But at that time, I will see whether there's a lot of resources in the market. For that time, I see there's lots of funding. And then the government is actually supporting youngsters to go to the China market. So I think the first thing is that you need to prepare yourself. And then the second thing is that keep exploring what kind of opportunities, and sometimes you have the absolute advantage or comparative advantage, right? And then you can, make use of this kind of opportunities, and then you will go to pursue your dream. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also you have to find the right source of the resource, also the support. I think the most common mistake is when you see an opportunity, just go for it without thinking, it can help you to bring you in a long run. Yeah, you have to see the long term, not just at this moment. So you have to be careful and think carefully what support is important for you to bring you to a higher level.
Wow, beautiful. So you are the representative to all the students, behind, So don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely agree, yeah.
So the get set for the future, and then we apply what we learn from school, and then if we can make it down to earth and apply the multidisciplinary approach, then we can make the world better. Okay? So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chen and the panelists for your